Welcome back, social media friends and strangers and acquaintances and family. And today I just wanted to make a video. And our video is about driving to and from Maine. And I had this idea on my last trip home uh, from Maine. You know, because when you're driving for 6 hours plus by yourself, you have time to think. And that's definitely one of the reasons I have come to highly enjoy driving 350 miles, right? And I was thinking like, wow, in the last what is it, 2025? Um, so let's just say in the last 10 years, since 2015, um, and probably the couple years before that, because my parents moved up, I think, uh, 2013, somewhere around there, 12 maybe. Anyway, uh, I've been I've driven to Maine and back over 100 times in the last 10 years, easy, for various reasons, right? Most of them recreational, but now, uh, and a few people I've helped move to Maine, including my father, including some friends. But um, now I'm gonna move to Maine, and actually not just me and my best friend, my partner, my PLP. And for those of you who don't know that acronym, I feel so special. This is what it feels like to know what an acronym means, and think that other people might not know what it means. Oh, baby. Maybe I don't even want to tell you what PLP means. It means platonic life partner. It means, I have found a woman who I want to be with the rest of my life, but we're like just friends. We don't have a romantic component to our relationship, and guess what? It's gonna last forever. Anyway, that's a whole nother video. But on my way home this last time, and I think I was in Connecticut when I had the thought. I was finally in Connecticut, and I was thinking, I was like, man, I've done this like over 100 times. It's like that 6 hours for me is not long. It feels more like 3 hours maybe for me. You know, when I think about people who don't drive to Maine that often, when it's just like any other act, it becomes at some point when you do it over and over, it becomes a rote in a way, right? Like it's not where it just becomes easier or not significant, because like when I tell people, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to Maine. And I can see the look on their face. I can see the expression. Like they just think it's just like, oh my God, like in an undertaking, you know? And it's not, you know? I stop once. And actually, my crazy best friend drives the whole way without stopping sometimes, and then is proud enough to tell people about it, to tell me. Oh, I didn't even stop. Because a couple times I'm like, how did you get home so fast? Well, didn't stop. Anyway, that's another. I like to stop once, stretch my legs, get circulated. You know what I mean? But I wanted to tell you and go through and describe, especially from my friends here in Connecticut, and a lot of them in Maine are from Connecticut, even though they act like they've been in Maine their entire life. Anyway, I just wanted to like describe my thought process and how it works. So always hydrated, right? Have coffee, have a water ready, have my playlist, which is over 150 hours long, so we don't have to worry about repeats, queued up and ready, or have my sports radio, depending on my mood. I try to get gassed up the day before. Sometimes I don't, and I have to do it that morning, And I usually leave, as a general rule, before 5, because there, especially in the summer months, and that's when I'm often taking the trip. Although now that I'm moving to Maine, I'm driving there in the winter now, because we're just, I'm moving things. Um, but there is a mass exodus from our area to vacation land. They named it Vacation Land. The state of Maine, that's its official, nickname. Like Connecticut is, the nutmeg state or the tax you to death state, depending who you ask. Maine is vacation land. So, there's a lot of traffic from Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, all the way up, driving to Maine, right? It is definitely a one-way scenario. and then on the weekends, on Sundays and Mondays, it's on the way back. Everyone's coming home, and the traffic would make you question every choice you've ever made up into that point to put you there. Right? So I have a lot of self-defense, and I leave ridiculously early so I don't get stuck in any of the traffic. And I live on the shoreline, so I have to drive on 95 for a little bit and get to New Haven, and then get on 91. And then drive to Hartford on 91, catch 84, take a little east, 84 east, you take a little right. You're going up central Connecticut, and then you take a little right, 84, and then you run into 90, which is the Mass Pike. Which I'm sure people from Massachusetts have opinions on the Mass Pike. I can't really opine on the Mass Pike. Although I can say it seems like you can go fast on it and no one cares. Hit the Mass Pike. Now, I will say this. Massachusetts is my least favorite part of the journey. I got to go all the way up. I'm on the shore of Connecticut, so I just go all the way up through Connecticut. It takes about an hour. And then through Massachusetts, that's it takes about 3 hours to get to the state of Maine, to the state line. For me, about 3 hours, doing average about 75 to 80 miles an hour. And once you get to Maine, the speed limit's 70, so then I'm more averaging 80, 85. But 90 to 495, and Massachusetts, like I said, is the worst for me. I just don't like it because it's just a lot of trucks, it's a lot of congestion, it's a lot of mass holes. It's just a lot, right? But it's a necessary evil, and it kind of keeps you alert, right? Connecticut, if you leave like I do on time, you don't really have to mess with trucks or traffic. You just get out, and once you get up above, exit 10 or 11 or 12 on 91, there's 4 lanes, and it's just there's a lot of room, and it's easy driving. But then when you get to Massachusetts, which it just seems like there's traffic all the time in Massachusetts, makes sense. That's where we landed, right? It's got the oldest crap, oldest people. It's just all the oldest shit. It's all there. So it makes sense. There's always going to be traffic. It's commerce. It's fucking all the oldest shit. Massachusetts. Which is beautiful, actually. It went, Berkshires, all that stuff. 495. Then you get to New Hampshire, which, taking this trip to Maine, taught me a little geography. I never knew New Hampshire had a coastline, like salt water. Yeah, They must have hammered that out in the deal back in the day, right? Um, I can't remember how many miles it is. It's not over 15. It could be 7. I don't know. It's not many. But it's like, so I remember, and I've taken many people on this trip, and I've gone by myself probably the most times. By myself, of course, the most. But I remember the last time telling my friend Tom that once we get to New Hampshire, we're going to see police. Because we only drive through 10 to 15 miles of New Hampshire, right? To get to, because we're on 95 by that point. You're at 495 and you hit 95 right before the New Hampshire line there. And we need to get to Maine. We're following the coastline. And so I go, yeah, New Hampshire, like, legit just, like, puts 2 or 3 cops in that 15 miles, and it's like fish in the barrel for them. So we saw 2 people pulled over, 2 separate on in just that 15 miles, right? It's like legit trap, and if you don't know it's there, if you're a first timer and you're just flying through, woo, woo, you're gonna get it. Smoky, you're gonna get it. So, and then once you get through New Hampshire, and you do the speed limit, I do the speed limit in New Hampshire, no, not even over 5 miles an hour. The speed limit, because you got out of state plates. They know you're not fighting any sort of case. You're paying the ticket. So, but then when you get to Maine, there's the bridge. Come on, Piscataqua. Hopefully I remembered it. Piscataqua Bridge over the Piscataqua River, and it's a nice bridge. And then, like, you kind of relax, we're there. I always stop at exit 25, which is 25 miles from the border. That's how it works in Maine. Every exit on 95 is a mile apart, so you could do easy math. And I always stop at exit 25, which is the Kennebunkport rest stop. And, stretch my legs, do what you gotta do, get gas, get caffeine, get hydrated, maybe get a breakfast sandwich from a chain. That's what you do. And then, Portland is only 20 miles from there. Now, I've been to Portland, but I don't really, like, that's, my destination has always been at least exit 150. Which is, my dad's exit. And that is, another, 125 miles. So it's, 2 hours plus. And, but driving in Maine on the highway is lovely, in comparison to, where I live in Connecticut. Speed limit's 70, so you're doing 80, and, people are passing you. Some people are just like everywhere else. Some people want to go faster than everybody else. It doesn't matter what the number is. There are people in the world who want to just be faster than everybody else. They have that desire or tick or condition. You could call it a lot of things, actually. Diagnosis. Anyway. And you start to see just all these pine trees, right? Because in Connecticut you see patches of pine trees, but it's mostly a deciduous situation. Same thing in Massachusetts, but once you get to Maine, it's just like, poof, green. I remember when we first started going up there, when my dad moved up there and we were visiting him, and I remember just like, actually, I remember my first impressions were from when we were moving him up there, and I just remember so much green. You're on the highway and it's just green on the sides, just all pine trees, just nothing but a pine tree. And you're like, this is cool. The sky is more blue because there's less pollution. Like, you can smell that, but you can actually see it. And yeah, it's called vacation land. But I wanted to say is that during the drive, there can be kind of like meditative. In the beginning, I did not let people pass me on the right. I've always driven a standard, okay? So I'm just dropping it into force, and you're not passing me, unless you have like a race car. Most normal vehicles ain't going to be able to, they could be cooking along. And I see them coming, and I'm just like, I was a jerk, right? It's principle. Blah, blah, blah. It's not really safe, you know? You don't want to piss off someone on the highway. So long story short, I have not talked to my therapist about this at all, but I do have a best friend who gets on me, and she can be therapeutic, I guess, I don't know. And one trip I got tired of hearing her, and I just let people pass me on the right. Go ahead. Go ahead. Even though the left lane is available, right? And it's not like I'm going slow. These are just those jerks that are going like 90, And I would just I would speed up and try to, inconvenience them. And now I don't. I'm grown. Oh, text message. We should put on Do Not Disturb while we're making videos. People would edit that out. Yeah, I've grown. I let people pass me on the right. And I say, in my head, I just think they have somewhere, or there's a zillion reasons why they are being unsafe and obnoxious and unsavory and antisocial and irresponsible and making my insurance rates go up. And you could say that stuff. But I just want to get there safe, I want to get home safe, and I want to be raising my blood pressure for no reason too. I think this is coming with age as well. Like, I'm 45 and I'm realizing I'm 45. I don't know. I think I got like a little bit of a curse in that I've always looked in the mirror and seen a young person. Maybe it's the mustache. Is the mustache helping me look older? I think so. Because if I was completely babyface right now, But anyway, I highly recommend driving to Maine. I do. It is a fun time. And when you get there, it's going to be a welcome change from where you came from, because most likely it's different. Unless you're coming from Vermont or New Hampshire or whatever. But like, if you're coming from the tri-state area, the fucking axis of evil, the nexus of pollution down here, right, where I can smell the fine particulates. It's worth it. But don't all of you move there. It's very cold. And I want to be left alone. So please, go to Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina. They're doing good. Good things. Go there.